And welcome back to another Monday Night Live Chats. I am your host, Aaron Matthew Kaiser. It is a pleasure to once again join you in this stream. For those of you watching later, we hope you enjoy as well. And please do know that we go live pretty much every Monday from starting at 7 o'clock and run for about an hour or so. And you have an opportunity to go into our chat room and be with us live and actually ask us questions and of me and my guest. And so yeah, take an opportunity to do that. I am hearing a little bit of feedback here. That's kind of weird.
Us live and actually ask us questions.
Yeah, I think Tracey, on your end, you might have a little bit of feedback going on over there. I want to do welcome to the chat room really quickly, Justin, who has our first question, and Ivan Vicious Goose Senpai, welcome. I haven't seen you in a bit, so thank you for joining us. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest tonight. She's a dear friend of mine. She is the founder and the director of the Valley Film Festival, which I have worked with for the last several years on a volunteer basis. I'm now on the advisory board of. She is an NYU Tisch School of the Arts alumni and has worked extensively in the industry. I would like to introduce you to Tracey Adlai. Welcome, Tracey.
Hey, I'm trying to figure out the feedback issue on my end because I'm all muted. So I might just close down my window so you don't get any. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, we're hearing something on one of the the windows.
Yeah, let me close it down.
Okay.
My window.
Vicious, what happened to my hair? I dyed it. I'm going to address it in a vlog. I actually have to touch it up. It's been a couple of weeks. But yeah, it's been a couple of weeks since you've been in our chats, live chats. So this is new for you. Yes, I like it. The question is, do you like it? I think you do. It definitely, the color fits me with all, or trying to figure out which wrist of all my red. So, Tracey, did we figure out what's going on? It sounds like the echo's gone.
Yes, I had two windows open, so we're good.
All right. Our first question, I don't usually jump right to the questions, but I will. Justin has a question I think we can knock right out of the park. Are the concession stands fancier at a film festival than your local Cineplex?
Well, Justin, we are at the local Cineplex. The Laemmle NoHo 7, the Valley Film Festival is at the local Cineplex, I should say. And the Laemmle has awesome popcorn, I have to say. And they also have Cool House ice cream sandwiches there.
I was going to mention that if you didn't.
Yeah, and I believe this year they might also have a liquor license, so we might be able to drink beer and wine in the theater as well. Pretty fancy. Fancier than AMC, right?
Yeah, well, some AMCs you can drink, but not in the theater. You have to be in their little bar, and then once you go out of the bar, you can't drink.
You can drink it. I believe we can drink in the theaters now at Laemmle. Okay. Yeah, and definitely not as fancy as ArcLight, but getting there.
Yeah, yeah. I actually heard, this is completely off topic, but you know, the Alamo Draft House is known for, they've got alcohol and everything, and they're opening one up in Springfield, Missouri, but they've got a law that you can't serve alcohol in theaters at all, so they are like either not going in or had to completely change their model for that city. And I know that because my family lives out there, so. But completely off topic. I do that a lot on this stream if you're new to us. And actually, before we do get further into this, I do want to ask those of you that are watching, if you aren't yet a subscriber of this channel, please do so. Thumbs up this video. Also, do go to the Valley Film Fest page, subscribe to that, but also if you are in the LA area or going to be in the LA area in the next week, then consider coming to the festival. Tickets are like $10 a screening, and it's valleyfilmfest.com. Is that correct? That's correct.
You got it.
All right. So, you know, let's go ahead and start with, you know, as I mentioned, you're an alumni of NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. It's very prestigious film school. You've done a lot of work in the industry, agency, distribution, producing. And from what I know of you, you're not just someone like, this is what I do. There's some passion behind your work. So when did you first fall in love with film?
Oh, wow. Early on, probably when I was a kid, and it was through the black and white films of the 40s and 50s. I wrote my college, what is it called? Like the newsletter, not the newsletter, I'm so old, I can't remember what it's called. Never mind. I wrote something on Billy Wilder and Elia Kazan to get into NYU. And those were the films that I really fell in love with and like, especially Billy Wilder. He's just my favorite filmmaker of all time.
All right. I know, you ever been to the Old Town Music Hall down in El Segundo?
I have not.
My dad and I go there all the time. It's been in one or two of my vlogs, and he's like, I grew up watching, because of him, all of the Abbott and Costello and Laurel and Hardy and all of those classic comedians. Right. And so they have an old Wurlitzer here at the Old Town Music Hall, and so every like 6 months or so they have a Laurel and Hardy festival, and they'll do like 3 silents, and the guy actually, I'm blanking on his name right now, but he actually plays the Wurlitzer, you know, what the music should be and the sound effects, and then there's an intermission, and then they play 2 or 3 of the sound films. And so my dad loves it, and so it's just kind of one of those things that we do as a family, to go and watch the Laurel and Hardy movies here in LA.
I think the Alex Theater has a Laurel and Hardy weekend as well. I know they have a weekend for the Marx Brothers, and they do some silent films there. So does the LA Chamber Orchestra. They usually will do silent films accompanied by a live orchestra, which is so beautiful.
Yeah, and that's definitely, you know, one of the nice things, you know, with going to Old Town Music Hall is having that. But I think, yeah, full orchestra with something would be even nicer. And I have heard that about the Alex, but I haven't quite found their, like, when they do that yet. So if anyone from the Alex wants to reach out to me and invite me, and I'll come vlog checking out, you know, one of these Marx Brothers or Laurel and Hardy or Abbott and Costello. All right, so the festival is in its 17th year this year. I know you never thought it would quite get this far. Can you talk a little bit about the early days of the festival?
Sure. Our first year was at the Sherman Oaks Galleria. At the time, it was Pacific Theaters. Now it's the ArcLight Sherman Oaks. And when I was first putting the idea together, I had wanted to use one of the screening rooms on a studio lot, like Universal or Burbank, Warner Brothers. But then 9/11 happened, and it was the same year of our first festival. And so we had been talking to Warner Brothers, And as soon as that happened, they were like, nope, can't have anyone on the back lot right now. And we were having a really, really hard time finding a screening room in the San Fernando Valley that was sort of accessible to everything, because the Sherman Oaks Galleria hadn't yet reopened. In fact, the theater wasn't even opened at the time. And just called around a lot looking for a space. I mean, now there's theaters everywhere. And we called what was the man theaters or general theaters, the GCC on Van Nuys Boulevard. And they couldn't help us, but they were the ones that suggested we contact Pacific Theaters. They're like, they may be open in time before the end of the year if you want to reach out. And I did, and they said that they would not be reopened in time. And so I just suggested, well, can we get in there before you reopen? And they were like, oh, sure. So we did a quick weekend. It was 3 days. It was a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But we had all like 16 theaters to ourselves, which was fantastic. And in 5 of them, we screened traditional films made in the San Fernando Valley, like Boogie Nights, Terminator 2. And then in 3 other screening rooms, we had the festival films, the independent films rolling. So we didn't use all 16 theaters, but we tried. So that was the first year. And then that theater was open, so we couldn't use it again. So we had to start again and look for another venue. And really, I can't tell you, there were no theaters. There were very few theaters in the San Fernando Valley. And so I called the El Portal, because when I was a kid, the El Portal was a functioning movie theater. And they were still rebuilding after the earthquake, and which had now almost been 10 years. And they hadn't gotten around to putting in a screen or projection equipment, but they promised me that was something they were working on. And so I rented it, and we ended up bringing in the screen and all the playback equipment, and we were there for 10 years. That was our home, and beautiful historical theater. But towards the end of our 10 years there, just the technology for films was changing so fast that we couldn't keep up with or afford all of the equipment we needed to display it properly in that theater. And fortunately, Laemmle had plans to open up across the street. And so we kind of waited it out and stayed at the El Portal as long as we could. And then once the Laemmle NoHo 7 opened up, it was just, it was so wonderful. Because now we just had the best equipment at our disposal, which just made it so great.
And when I started working with the festival, I think it was in the last year or 2 of being at the El Portal. And because I remember being in there like 1 or 2 years. I don't quite remember how many. And then there were a couple of years even after that, because the Laemmle wasn't quite open yet. And we bounced around. There was like a theater somewhere on Ventura we were at for a year or 2. And that brought its own bonuses, because there was like a little patio in the back. Right. But then it was more of a it was a performance theater, not a film theater.
Right.
And so we had to again bring our stuff in there, and we were trying to run something off of Final Cut on a computer, and it kept freezing on us. It introduced the other glitches, because it was right on that jump from everyone starting to do things digitally versus DVD.
Yep.
So. But yeah, the last few years we've been at Laemmle, which is a beautiful location, beautiful theater. I think you were telling me the other night that we're in the big theater every single night this year.
We are in Theater 1, which I believe seats 250 people. So we are in the largest theater, and I could not be happier. So we need tons of people to fill all those seats.
All right. So my next question will eventually lead to another one, but the first part of it is you've been doing this aspect now for 17 years, and especially just based on what you've been doing, but also in comparison to your other experience in entertainment. What have you learned by being a festival director?
Go with your gut. And I guess that's true for everything. Just go with your gut instinct on everything, on film selections, on personalities of people. And I've also learned not to stress out too much if something isn't 100% right.
How's that one going for you?
Right now, I'm a little stressed, but no, it could be worse.
You know, I've got this great person told me once, don't stress out too much. She just told me that 5 seconds ago.
No, I used to in the early, like the first 5 years, I was really stressed if everything wasn't 100% perfect. Like if there was a typo in the program, if we didn't have enough programs, if whatever. And then, I realized it's not brain surgery, it's a film festival. And yes, I would love for everything to be 100% perfect. But at the end of the day, filmmakers aren't going to remember a typo in the program. Some of them might. But they are going to remember if they had a good time, what their experience was, and what their interaction with me was going to be. And I didn't want to, so, I just decided it is what it is. I'll do everything I can until the day the festival opens. But once the festival opens, that's it. I'm already thinking about next year, and I just want to be the best person and be present for the week that we're here with filmmakers.
That's great. So leading, like I said, that's a kind of a leading question. What do filmmakers need to learn or understand about festival directors? What, the question kind of, speaks for itself. What
Sure.
do filmmakers not realize that they should?
We have deadlines. And when we ask you for something, it's because we really need it. It's, not going to get into what's going on this year, but we have a film or
Drama!
two that they haven't submitted their film to us yet, and our DCP deadline was the first week of October. So it's taken up a lot of time and back and forth, following up with filmmakers, going, did you get our last email? Here's the link again. Can you send it? We really need it. Blah, blah, blah. So it's just when we ask for something, it's because we really need it. It's not because we're just trying to make your life miserable or put you on a deadline. It's just we have deadlines too. But that's one thing. I mean, there are tons of things that filmmakers should know, but I don't know. You're going to have to ask me some more questions, I guess.
I'm going to have to ask you some more questions. Actually, there was something with the previous one that I had thought of while you're answering yours that I wanted to actually go back to, and it was kind of about your stress level too, earlier festivals and then now. And, one of the things I've noticed you kind of really doing in the last year or two is relying, building up that team around you a little bit more and a little bit better, and kind of relying on them, which is what you should be doing when you're making a film as well. Is you can't really go out there being a Lone Ranger filmmaker. I mean, you can, it's just going to be a lot harder and a lot more stressful, and you might not have as good of a product in the end. And just, the same way here is, you build the team around you, and you rely on the people who are helping, on all the different levels. And I'm sure you've probably seen results to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think this year we have a really good supportive team. Not like we haven't in the past. We have too, but we have more committed people, I believe, this year, who, when they say they want to do something, actually follow through and do it. And that's, because as someone who ran it by myself for a very long time with very little help, I know how, I just know how to do it. Some of the duties and the responsibilities, but at the same time, I don't have time to do everything. And I know people really want to help. So when they come to me and want to be involved, some people will either stay involved for a little bit, which is fine, and then others will get super involved, like you and David and Melissa. You guys are great.
Well, we try. And it was an honor for you to ask me to be on the advisory board, and just it's an acknowledgement of, I guess, how much I've put into the organization. How many hats have I worn there?
Oh, you started out introducing and doing the Q&A for films, which is something I don't like to do. So if anyone is watching and wants to fill that role this year, we have lots of options.
Oh, I think we just hit a little bit of a...
And you've been our photographer.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a glitch there. Sorry about that. Yeah, there's something weird with this software. The bit rate goes up and down. Yeah, you're talking about the emceeing the screenings. I think as we're coming back from the glitch, you're talking about I was the photographer. I've been doing some live streaming like this for the last couple years now too.
Mm-hmm. And you're just a big idea guy. I like it.
That's a different gesture, isn't it? That's not what I'm thinking it is. That's brain exploding.
Aww.
We'll leave that one be. So clearly we've been seeing the film marketplace kind of changing and evolving over the last few years. Do you see the place that film festivals serve, changing and evolving with it? Honestly, do you see them, maybe there's always talk of people like, oh, film festivals don't matter anymore, or do they? Where do you kind of see festivals falling in this?
Wow. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm not saying film festivals don't matter, but now there are just so many film festivals. When we started, we were the only film festival in the San Fernando Valley, which is crazy. And in the last 4 or 5 years, we've just have seen an explosion of film festivals in the San Fernando Valley. Oh, and the little NoHo Arts District too.
Yeah, there's one on the Thursday night we're there. There's apparently a 10-day one after we're gone. There's There's
a lot.
Yeah.
So there didn't used to be as many film festivals in the San Fernando Valley, which was great for us because it meant any content we showed was new to our audience and the area. Now, because there are just so many film festivals, I mean, another good point is there is a lot of content out there. So we have the content to screen at our festival that hasn't been screened elsewhere. But it's still really tricky because not all filmmakers are with you on where their film has been seen.
Yeah.
And I wish we didn't have to ask for premieres, but in Los Angeles, it is really difficult to attract an audience, and B, attract any press to the festival if the films we're screening have already been screened multiple times in Los Angeles, which is why we do have that premiere status. I mean, we're liberal with it too, because if a film is really good, it's really good, and we want to screen it.
Right.
So we're not going to program a mediocre film because it hasn't screened here. We're going to program the better film because it's the better film. But yeah, so it gets to be very difficult as the programmer, because you know that for other films in the festival, they all need to be new and something to talk about to the press.
Right. Well, and this premiere issue isn't anything new for festivals.
No.
Even if you were the only one in the city, I mean, that's an added layer, but there's always been, there are certain festivals like your Sundances and whatnot that only want to take you if you are a world premiere.
Right.
If you've screened anywhere else, they're not going to take you, unless if you've then done the circuit and you've won some awards and then they invite you in, then they'll, you know, take you in the next year or something. But there's always been that. And then also, even if you're not the world premiere, you should be the West Coast premiere, this premiere, that premiere, or you think you're not going to get in a Sundance, so they submit to you or someone else, and then they get into there and they're like, well, now we're going to pull our film out of your festival because we need to be the premiere over here. And everyone wants to be that premiere. I think, you know, you have the happy, you know, the fair medium of, well, at least let's be the LA premiere. And I think it's an added bonus if you're the film premiere as well.
Sure. Yeah, we're not going to go too crazy on world premieres, but it is a bonus, as you said. And also, you brought up a good point of films pulling out of festivals so that they can be premieres at other festivals. It happens to us too. So I know this year we didn't get too much hate mail from films we did not program. But filmmakers should also know that when we do extend the invite to program a film, say, sorry, we want to screen elsewhere. So it does go both ways, and we wish them the utmost and best of luck and have no ill will.
So
room for content.
Room for improvement. Yeah. So, say I'm a filmmaker. Let's start with a short. I'm doing a short that I want to do the festival circuit. What do I need to keep in consideration when, even when I'm scripting, if I'm thinking that I'm going to submit this to festivals? What are you looking for?
I think originality and content is still what we look for primarily, and followed by sound. So just make sure your sound and your music are great. If you have a film about a band, make sure that that band sounds good in your film, because we've had a lot of films about a lot of bands where you can't hear anything. So I would focus on content and then sound.
Okay. And go ahead.
I was going to say also keep it short. Like 10 minutes is great, because it's easier to program a 10-minute film than it is to program a 40-minute film. And we do program 40-minute films. We've done it many times over the years, but it's just really difficult to do that.
Well, and then even a 10-minute versus a 15, right?
Right. Yes.
I mean, I've heard, not as much the Valley, but I've heard of other filmmakers where their film's like 15 minutes long, and they submit it, and places are like, oh, it's too long, so they make a 10-minute cut.
Right.
In fact, Sudden Death the Musical that I know they are watching right now. Adam and Melanie Hall, our dear friends, which I believe they're going to be. Melanie is attached to one of the films that's premiering here at the VFF next week, right?
Oh, is she? Which film?
Oh, what did she say it was? Let me go on the Twitters.
I'll have to give it extra love now that I know Melanie's involved.
She when she tweeted yes, yes, yes to the fact that you were the guest tonight, and I asked if that takes it would see her in the chat room. She did say something about she's watching and unable to comment. And she said, with bells on, producer Melanie is a producer on VFF film Diani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse.
Oh, right. Oh, awesome. Diani and Divine Meet the Apocalypse. That is our Saturday night, late night screening. So hopefully Melanie will be there.
Yes. Well, I know Sudden Death the Musical, which I absolutely loved. I've seen it a million times by this point, and I also apparently stole a DVD that I wasn't supposed to from their premiere screening. I thought they were giving them away. They were in a box. Someone handed it to me, and I walked away with it. And then they're like, "Oh, you were one of the ones that took one. We ran out for our cast and crew because of you." Oops. Anyway, they had I remember at some point we were talking and they said they had to make a shorter version for festivals just because they were kind of getting that feedback that they needed a little bit more concise version. Not that the longer one was bad, it just was easier to program. And I think also, in this world, fast-paced, which thankfully my filmmaking style, when I write very concise and edit pretty concise as much as possible. So eventually I will have a film in VFF. It hasn't happened yet, but I do plan on them being like 10 minutes or less, like right there, right on that mark.
Sounds good. How about 9 minutes and 45 seconds?
5 minutes and 45 seconds, or 9 minutes and 45
9
seconds?
minutes and 45
9 minutes and 45 seconds. We can. I will aim for that, but can I get 51 seconds? Yeah. Just for me. Just for me.
Just for you. I'll make an exception.
So, getting back to what you're looking for, though, with the exception of a few technical requirements, you're more about story and originality than necessarily perfection.
Absolutely. We have, this year we got every year we get really great submissions, but most of them, not most of them, but you're watching 1,000 submissions or, several hundred submissions, and then the stories are basically the same. There's nothing that really stands out. There's no twist to an old tale kind of thing. So if something is told differently, it makes the film just stand out, and then it pops, and we're interested and give it another consideration and another view.
Yeah. You're giving me a lot of encouragement for my projects, because I know that's what I strive to do.
Everyone should strive to do that.
Yeah. It's some of my ideas have been like, oh, well, what would my take be if I was originally writing X? Like, what would I do different? What would I do the same? And like my anime project that I hope to eventually get off the ground is a Robin Hood story. And yes, the universe is different, and that immediately makes you go, huh? But really at the core of it is I'm taking the characters that you know and love, and I'm kind of twisting them, and not in ways that you'd necessarily expect. So yeah, that again, that gives me some hope. So the process of submitting to a festival has changed over the years. People used to send in DVDs. There was submissions through Without a Box, which I'm not even sure if they're around anymore. I know they're owned by IMDb and Amazon. But what do Comment in there from Aaron Collins, the other Aaron, also thanking me for my commending me for my hair. Thank you for that, Aaron. Sorry. Where was I?
You were talking about the submission process.
Submission process. What does that look like now? What, someone who hasn't submitted at all before, or maybe is still used to the old way of doing things, when they submit to the Valley Film Festival, what are they going to do? What's that process look like?
Well, Without a Box is still around, so people can still go there. We do not work with Without a Box, though. We work exclusively with Film Freeway, just because they are such awesome people to work with. They have a great user-friendly on the festival side, and the guys and gals who work up there are just super friendly. So if I have an issue or need to add something, they are quick to reply and work on adding a new feature. So we really love Film Freeway. But what will happen is, and this will happen in January, so in a few months, we will open up our submissions, announce it on all the social channels, and people will submit to us. And I gather the masses. I think this year we had maybe 50 people watching, because it's just, we had a lot of films. And we divvy up the films that come in. I watch everything that is submitted. So absolutely everything. And then I have people who are watching shorts, which is the majority of the people. And then I have a smaller group watching documentaries and a smaller group just watching narrative feature films. And so then we get 3 views, and in some cases a lot more, on films. And, we use a flag system to keep track of what's been watched and what hasn't been watched and what needs to be watched again. We also have a private Facebook group that all of our screeners are in. So if we've seen something that we're not sure about and we need an extra view, we usually will post in that group to check out this film. Or if we've seen something that has blown our minds away, we'll also post in there so that people can, take a look at a very well done film. Because sometimes you're watching 10 shorts a night and nothing has popped out at you. So when you find that gem, you just want to share it with everybody. And then after we've done our first round, we will tally up all the films that we love, which is usually more than half, if not all, the films that have been submitted. And then we have to start chopping them down. And that is really the hardest part. We first go by the actual rating of the film. So I think this year we just looked at things that were rated 7 to 10. And by the way, I don't give 10s to anything. It's very, very rare. So my top score will most likely be a 9.
So it's the ratings that your viewers have been giving it.
Yes. Yes. So they're all, there's an average rating based on everyone's views. And so then we will just start at whatever, I think we start at the 100 film mark, and then everything below it gets chopped. Initially, we do go back sometimes too, and we're like, but this was really fun, or whatever. Let's try and get it in. So then we will go through those top rated films, and then that's when we start looking at the premiere status, and that's when we start looking at the total running time. And that's when we start making those decisions. We don't do it initially. It's definitely when we're starting to program and we're like, okay, this is screened everywhere in LA. Do we have the audience to screen it? Or there's just a really obscure film that we don't think we can promote to our audience. And without the help of the filmmaker, we know we won't be able to bring in an audience or attract a new audience for it. So there's, you know, there's just a lot of moving parts at that point. And that is actually the time where I do stress out, because it's like you want to screen everything and you just don't have the time. And that really bothers me. I wish I owned my own theater and I could just screen everything. It is hard to make cuts, and it is hard to not be able to screen a beautiful film coming out of Iran because they don't have the funds to make a DCP, which unfortunately or fortunately is the only way we screen now. Our theater is strictly DCP, so we can't accept any other format. And so it makes it really hard to cut those beautiful foreign films that really need a new audience and have a deeper message to be shared.
And I was actually going to, that was one of the last questions on my list I wanted to get to, was DCPs. By the way, if you're just joining us in the live stream tonight, my guest is Tracey Adlai, the founder and director of the Valley Film Festival, of which I am on the advisory board of and have worked with for several years. And we are talking about what filmmakers need to know about film festivals. So that last point is pretty important, because most filmmakers by now should have heard about what a DCP is, especially if they're really, really serious and they go to movies, because it's kind of been in the vernacular of regular movie theaters. But I think and it's not just the Valley Film Festival, but like you literally can't really even take a Blu-ray anymore or a DVD. So why are DCPs so important?
Well, they're just crystal clear, and there are no issues with them whatsoever in the theaters. They are really important to have, especially in the big metropolitan areas. I'm assuming most of New York, but all of LA, they screen on DCP now, which stands for Digital Cinema Package for anyone who isn't familiar. And basically, your film now comes on a little thumb drive, but it's encrypted so that it can't be pirated. And it's awesome. I think you and I were talking about it when we first started the Valley Film Festival in 2001. We were screening on 35 millimeter. And then we went to Beta, SP, and then DVD, and then Blu-ray, and then our first attempt
with the computer in there.
Yes.
Which,
and then,
for some reason, instead of playing a ProRes file or an H.264, it was,
I don't know.
Here's the Final Cut Pro 7 timeline. Let's play that.
And then, so then we went to Laemmle, and they, at the first 4 years we were there, we could, they always preferred DCP, but we also had the option to bring in Blu-ray. So our feature films were always on DCP, and then our short film programs, Paul Huff, our editor for 16 years, would lovingly put those on a disc for us, or in the early days of Beta SP tape. And this is his first year not having to do any work for us. So we miss him. I'll find something else for him. But yeah, it's just, most theaters no longer have projectionists. And because they don't have projectionists, everything is run out of a server room.
What a change. I have friends that used to be projectionists.
It's kind of sad.
We were actually talking about this at a meeting the other night, that apparently there is a capability to play it, but they'd have to manually raise and lower the lights and
right.
do things, and whereas everything They can literally just set a playlist and everything is automated, and it makes it 100 times better.
And once a film has been ingested into the server, that it's going to play. It's not going to pause. It's not going to skip. So it's just peace of mind, because I can't tell you how many years during the festival, during our short film programs, I would just go sit in the lobby because I was like, I don't want to know if there's an issue. Or I would have someone in the theater text me if there was an issue. Because
when I worked with San Diego, much larger festival, we would be on walkie-talkies. Hey, there's a problem in Theater 3. There's a problem in Theater 3. What's going on up there in the booth? And we're like yelling at the projectionists who are volunteers. And like one time, like apparently someone just got pissed off and walked out the booth and left the festival. And we're like, well, now we're screwed.
Hey, I just noticed that my friend Michael in New York has joined us, so I wanted to give him a shout out. Feel free to ask Aaron or I anything, Michael.
Yes, welcome, Michael. I know that Aaron Collins, I think I already shouted him out. And then we have live giveaways is in the chat room saying things are about to get lit. I can only, and then saying this dude is spitting fire. I can only presume means up here on the top of my head. I'm so That's hot, right. Even my hair is ignited. Is that cheesy? Too cheesy? Kind of?
Not
okay.
Cheesy.
Not cheesy at all? Okay.
No.
So, DCPs, they're like, traditionally, they come on like hard drives or flash drives, and they used to be kind of expensive. I know when I was a couple of years ago pricing out what like a 10-minute short would be, it was going to be like a couple $100 per hard drive. And because they're very specially formatted, but I guess now you can start sending them digitally over the internet, so you can kind of have a combination here. But I think prices might have come down. And then also for those of you watching, if you do happen, like if you actually think your film is like Oscar caliber and you actually have a shot at being like shortlisted, you're going to have a couple of DCPs, let alone for what you're probably going to have to do in general for your festival run in these days. But you have to submit two copies of your DCP to the Academy if you're shortlisted and then nominated. I think it's gotten a little cheaper and easier. Can you talk a little bit about like, okay, I'm a filmmaker, I need to make a DCP. How do I do that? I don't know how to make a DCP.
And you should not make your own DCP. Let's be very clear there. There are ways and there are programs for you to do it, but they won't all work across all theaters. I don't know why it's different. I don't know why theaters have different DCP servers, I guess, but they do. And it's just, there's a standard DCP, and then that should play everywhere. And most of the time, sorry, I'm a little distracted. I don't know why. Trying to think about DCP stuff.
It's my hair. I know.
I know you asked me about the cost and how to get one made. Please don't make it yourself. There are a lot of post companies that are switching over to either including DCPs in their services, or there are companies that just do DCPs. We've worked with two awesome companies. We've worked with Tree Falls Post in the past. And this year we are working with Simple DCP, which a lot of filmmakers probably have already heard of because they work with a lot of festivals across the nation and in Canada. So they work with Newport and Tribeca and South by Southwest. So once your film is in their database, all you have to do is fill out a form to have them assign it to the festival.
Okay.
Which is really super easy.
Easy.
And Yeah, it's really easy these days, and it's also a lot less money. Tree Falls Post was the one that we've been using for the last 4 years, and their rates were awesome. And we always recommended them because we couldn't find another place that made them. I mean, we always give filmmakers 3 options so that we're not responsible for anything. But Tree Falls Post always put out really good product, and they were the most affordable. Now pretty much most DCP places have the same rates, and they have different packages too. So right. If you
obviously your mileage may vary, and it may change between us talking and you going to get it, so price it out. But what are filmmakers looking to spend approximately now?
I think you can spend $5 a minute right now, and most of the time it includes the CRU drive or the thumb drive. So it's pretty affordable these days.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. Apparently, this stream has been shared to the dark web. So
I know. I think that's what I was distracted about. I was like, dark web now.
Welcome to the dark web, Tracy.
Kind of scared to see what's in there. But yeah,
look out behind you.
A lot more common now, and they are a lot less expensive. And I think like probably next year or even 2 years from now, they will be super affordable, like super duper affordable. And probably then your homemade DCPs will probably be just as good.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to a friend the other day that she was trying to figure out how to get like a DVD made of something. And I'm like, I don't even have the software on, like I have a DVD drive, but I don't even have the software to burn a DVD anymore. It doesn't come standard on anyone's computer these days. You know, it's, you know, so even like thinking of like creating a lot of this stuff on your own, you can make your ProRes files, your H.264 files for your digital distribution, but when you start needing to do like DCPs and these actual delivery formats, you know, it's not anything that is consumer friendly. So, but anyway, where are we at right now? We are just about an hour, and I don't have any other major questions on my list. You can see I've checked everything off of things to ask Tracey Adlai on my live stream.
Woohoo!
Is there anything that we haven't really covered? You know, let's go back to, you know, the title and the topic of this stream is what filmmakers need to know about film festivals.
Sure.
You know what? There's a story. You don't have to obviously say names, but I think I remember you talking about a filmmaker who acted a certain way at the Valley Film Festival that won't be invited back because of how they behaved. Perhaps some stories kind of like that would be insightful for filmmakers.
Sure, I'm happy to dish. I would recommend, and this goes just a general rule of thumb in life: be nice. You know, there's no reason to be nasty to anybody at any time. And I try and apply that throughout life, and especially at the film festival. And we've had some filmmakers. I can think of 2. One is the big offender, who have come to the festival and just started yelling at our volunteers. And because our volunteers didn't know who he was, and for whatever.
Should they have?
No, there was no reason our volunteers should have known who he was. And he got...
And
I took it aside and said, look, if you have anything to say it to me. Please do not yell at these fabulous people who are volunteering their time to sit at our check-in table and welcome people. They, you know, and he has since submitted a few times, and we just ignore his submissions because we definitely do not want that behavior back again. And we also have filmmakers who make great films and are, you know, half supportive through email and online, but then they just don't bother to show up to their screenings, and they live right around the corner. And that kind of upsets me because they're right around the corner. I know there's a lot going on in LA, but if someone took the time to program you, please take the time to support your film and the festival. And if you personally can't be there, send people in your place. So we've had a few filmmakers do that to us, and we just don't get it. And that's another reason why we lean towards the LA premieres for LA films, for LA filmmakers, because once they've screened in LA, they don't care about their other screenings. Or I shouldn't say that. Not all filmmakers don't care. But there's a good number of filmmakers who are like, I've already done the big LA premiere. I don't need to be there now. And then there are filmmakers who live around the corner, who go to every single LA Film Festival that they're in, and they support them in every way imaginable, which is awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I think the biggest things I would just say is just be nice to everybody throughout life, yeah. Especially at a film festival. Do not yell at volunteers. Do not yell at theater staff. And I'm saying this for the Valley Film Festival. If you have anything to say during the festival, come find me or David. David can take he can take being yelled at. And we'll help you out. I mean, we want to make the experience good for everyone, so we're not sitting there
except for the people that yell at you.
Well, yes. We're not trying to come up with ways to make you look bad or make your film look bad. And that's another reason why DCPs are so awesome. So.
And then, well, there's another side to this, you know, this coin, this hand, whatever, whatever analogy you want to do there. Other side of this, you know, fidget spinner. There we go. Of course, yes, I have a red fidget spinner. You know, so we talked about like what not to do, but then at the same time, like I know you guys are very pleasantly surprised with this year with a filmmaker that got in and then is going like above and beyond, like really helping promote their screening and the festival in general, and that actually goes even more towards, you know, you wanting to maybe include their stuff in the future, I'm presuming at least.
Absolutely. When you reply to our emails and you get involved and ask how you can help promote your film even more, and we give you the tools to do that, and you actually do it, it's awesome because it means you're listening to us, you're invested in your film succeeding and the festival succeeding, and it means we're just going to want to help you out even more. So yes, go above and beyond if you can. Look, I know things come up. I know that there are work situations that prevent you from attending or doing as much as you hoped you can, but just keep the line of communication open so that we know what's going on. Like, I don't need to hear your life story. It's none of my business. But if you can't get to something in a 2-week period, just tell me so that I don't harass you for 2 weeks to get me something.
Unless if, you know, we're looking to be harassed by you.
We will not go there this week.
I'm being told that I have a great movie announcement voice, like the late great Don Fontaine.
Ooh, Don Fontaine.
I'm hoping that this actually sounds good. What I'm doing is, so I've got my microphone here, and I'm going through my H4n and using it as an HDMI. No, a USB adapter interface into my laptop. And when I was told last week I sounded okay, but every time I did a test, like audio recording in like just QuickTime, like I came out very high pitched. I'm like, I know we sound different on camera than we do in real life, but I've heard myself on camera enough to know I don't sound like that. I sounded very weird. And so I think I figured out what was causing that this time. So hopefully I actually sound realistic. Do I sound like the real me, Tracy?
I think you do.
Do I sound like the real me now?
I think you have to do that again. Live Giveaways.
Hello, Tracy.
Live Giveaways has a question.
Yes. How do you become qualified to submit a movie?
Well, Live Giveaways, you make a movie.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, step 1, you make a movie. Step 2, you submit it.
That's it.
Huzzah! Now, in order to make the movie, there's a few steps that you have to go through.
Right.
But your mileage may vary, your path to success may vary. As we talked about earlier, make it original, make it unique, make it compelling, and make it all about tacos. I don't know if your film's make it all about the Benjamins. There we go.
So I wanted to add, not just about the Valley Film Festival, but when you are ready to take your film on the festival circuit, I would, submission fees do add up. I understand that. So I would really, submit to a lot of the film festivals that have no cost. And one of them happens to be the Cannes Film Festival. Their competitive program is free to submit to.
And that's not what you would expect out of a world-renowned festival like that.
No. So I encourage everyone to submit to them. I think it has to be 15 minutes or less.
Okay.
And obviously it has to have subtitles. But it's free to submit. They only program 7 films or 7 to 10 short films in their competitive section. So it is very competitive.
Do they also have like a non-competitive section as well? Because I think I've had like a few people who are like, oh, we're at Cannes, and it's like, are you really at Cannes? Are you at Cannes? Or are you at Cannes?
There is the Short Film Corner, which is an amazing experience for any filmmaker. So even if just being at the Short Film Corner is amazing too. It is their equivalent to a film market for short films. And it is a really good deal. I think you pay €100 to submit to the Short Film Corner. Every film is accepted because it's a film market. But you get with that 2 passes to the Cannes Festival, which is amazing. So you can just go network in the market or in the International Village and meet people and talk to people. And they also have 2 or 3 screening rooms at the Short Film Corner. And, I think the largest one seats 10 people. But whatever, just reserve it and invite people that you've met to come see it. So I highly recommend submitting to both Cannes and to the Short Film Corner. And if you can give up Sundance or another big festival in the U.S. for a year, I would take that money and attend the Cannes Film Festival, because it is, the most expensive part is the airfare. And I use Norwegian Air, which is super inexpensive and awesome, by the way. And once you're there, you can find inexpensive lodging. You can share with people. And then once you're at the festival, you can get wined and dined at the parties that you're attending. So totally invest in doing it at least once. But there are a lot of other festivals too out there that don't charge a fee. We charge a really small fee for the first 2 months. Our first month or two was free for the longest time. And then when we went to online submissions, that was just way too much because we just didn't have the capacity to watch all of those films that were being submitted during our free period. So we made it a very small fee to submit. And there's just a ton of opportunity out there. And when you're submitting to LA festivals, check out, if you're not sure where to submit, check out their archives to see if what they've screened in the past sort of aligns with what your film is about. And make a plan. Like, don't submit to every single film festival in LA. Really come up with a plan. You know, I would list like who are your top 5 festivals in LA that you want to screen with, and then start submitting. And if you have any questions, I mean, I'm sure other film festivals are like this, at least I would hope. Feel free to email the programmers and just say, I really want to be a part of the festival, but I have another festival who's interested in programming me first. Do you think you might, am I on some sort of list? And we will generally tell you. So I don't know why we wouldn't. And it goes the same way. If you've submitted to us and 10 other festivals, but your premiere has to be at another festival, just use that withdrawal button from Film Freeway so that we know not to program you.
Right. So I have a couple of questions based on what you're just talking about, and then we'll probably start winding down here.
Okay.
One, I remember back when I ran San Diego Filmmakers, or not when I was a part of running that, I should say. Don't want to take all the credit there. We had a couple of guests that would come in that were on the other side, that were the filmmakers that had done some very big festival runs. And, one of the questions is like, okay, all these submission fees add up. And one of the things that they would say is, and obviously this is before all of the online submissions aspect, is if you're at the point where you're kind of like out of budget for, submitting, and you've got a really good film, reach out to the festival and say, hey, I really want to submit to you, but my budget's really tight. Will you take a look at my film anyway? Is that something that is that even not feasible with how you're set up now? Or is it, and how open to that are you?
So there's a few things to say about this. We do waive our submission fees for filmmakers in countries like Greece and Iran and some other Middle Eastern countries where they literally cannot send money to the U.S. We have embargoes everywhere, and they can't get us money. And so, oops,
I think your Post-it note. I saw that. I'm like, wait, what is that? Oh, that's your Post-it note. I was telling you where to look.
I know.
The secrets of the live stream. I'm being told I'm like a hardline version of Philip DeFranco.
So we do waive fees for filmmakers in countries that literally just can't pay us money, even if they wanted to. And on some occasions, we do waive submission fees, especially if it's early on in the process, not the last week of submissions or even the last few months of submissions. If it's early on, we will sometimes give you a social media checklist to do. And if you do some work for us, we will give you a waiver.
Okay. And then there was another question. I should have written it down. There was another question I had that was related to all of that. And I'm totally blanking on it.
That's okay. You'll come up with something, and well, you can have me on again.
I can have you on again to answer this one question. Like next week, I'm on with President Trump. Don, just hold on a second. I want to get back to last week's guest. I remembered my question.
Thank God.
Thank God. We're gonna cut in, to. Oh man, it was an even better question than the fee, and I can't.
I can talk more about foreign film festivals.
Go for it.
For anyone who cares, I do recommend submitting to a lot of the foreign film fests too, especially festivals that have markets attached to them. And obviously, if you can get there,
that is what my other question was. So remind me when we get back to it.
Okay. Yeah, film markets are great. I love attending markets because it's not just about the film. It's also about the business of film. So I feel like I learn stuff. And everyone is there for the same reason. You're there to make a deal. You're there to meet contacts. So it's not weird if you don't have a film in a festival. You're still there to network and meet, which is why I like it, why I like film markets too. And then we have a whole list of short film distributors for the short filmmakers that we often share with our filmmakers. And then and I should say mainly Georgia, who's our distribution liaison, she goes above and beyond during the festival to reach out to distributors to pitch our feature films, our narratives and docs, with hopes of getting them screened, a distribution. So really research your festivals and see what else they do besides just screening a film. I am distracted by live giveaways. I'm sorry.
I just want to saying that Philip DeFranco sits on a high horse. Well, have you seen someone sitting on a little miniature pony? It's just weird.
I hope you know live giveaways. Do you?
I don't know. I might. I've got a friend who keeps calling me, so I just sent him a screenshot of the fact that I'm live so he can stop calling me for a few minutes.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so the markets. That was my other question I wanted to get at. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron just commented on this format, which live giveaways was commenting on the tone and the format. I kind of feel like I'm a little more prepared this week, so I think this is going a lot better than my last few have, just because I'd been trying to do a million things and not being able to completely pay attention, and actually being prepared and being able to really engage properly is getting back to why I started doing this format, and it I think it's definitely playing off a lot better than it had been. But okay, so the markets. I know that you usually try and schedule VFF, the Valley Film Festival, around when AFM is here in town, and there's markets with obviously Cannes and Sundance and
sorry.
What? Live
giveaways is asking what my favorite type of cookie is. Sorry.
And what is your favorite type of cookie?
I think I'm an oatmeal raisin kind of gal.
Okay, that's that or white chocolate macadamia nut, the white chocolate chips. Or like white chocolate chip, like like a chocolate cookie with white chocolate chip. Anyway, so
okay,
so
we're
markets.
talking about
So well, also let's talk about their importance and how they play for filmmakers in today's industry, because I know it's changed. I don't know that markets are as big of a player as they used to be, just because like minimum guarantees are kind of gone and foreign distribution has kind of changed a bit. But how big of a player are they, and is do you see any place for that to work with, like markets to work with the Valley Film Festival in the future?
Why, yes. Thank you for asking.
I have inside knowledge.
I'm a huge fan of markets, like I've already said. And I like them because, especially when they're attached to a film festival or around a film festival, because like I said, it's some filmmakers won't attend a film festival if their film isn't screening in it. And you can, with festivals that have markets attached, there's that business element to it. So even if you don't have a film screening, you have all the people that you need to connect with in one room or in one hotel. And you should really take advantage of that, because you just never know who you're going to run into in the lobby or at the nearby theater that could help you get to the next level of wherever your project needs to go.
I've tried doing the AFM thing a couple of times, and I must have been doing the lobby thing wrong, because I never really made much headway there.
So we'll do it together this year.
Okay.
There are a few things. Yeah, it has changed. It has changed in the last few years, because now if you don't have a badge, you don't have access to the outdoor pool area, which was a big deal. But there's also that Laemmle Santa Monica down the street, and that's where a lot of the screenings take place, and you can just hang out in that lobby, which is where I have run into Harvey Weinstein and other people. So I would totally, I would totally, you don't have to have a badge. If you have a badge, great. If you have time to volunteer, even better. But you don't need one. And you and I will talk, and we will do a few days together this year, and hopefully it'll change your mind.
I think my problem is a lot of the times when I'm networking, and I've gotten better since I last tried doing the AFM thing, but I generally need to kind of have like someone I know introducing me to people I don't know. I'm not very good at the "Hi, I'm Aaron," but I have since realized, like, okay, we're at a networking event. They're expecting me to, to start talking to them. It's still a little hard for me. If it's kind of like I'm talking to someone and it splinters off, I'm better with that type of thing. If I'm introduced, I can have conversations that way. But especially if I'm there by myself and I'm just standing around like a doofus, I have, So there was the other part of the question about markets and VFF.
I am hoping that we add one to VFF soon. We were trying to add it to this year's festival, but it was just too much to do too soon. I think we came up with the idea probably in July and gave ourselves until the end of August to sort of put a package together, and just too much was happening and we couldn't do it. So now we're looking at late winter, early spring, and we're looking to invite
around April or so.
I think so. I think that's our next goal. We will be meeting in November to kick VFF 18 off, and we will then see how much we can get done by the end of the year to ensure a market at some point in March or April. It goes back to having a venue.
So. Yeah. So if you are watching this live stream and you are in the Valley and would like us to have an inaugural, not a first annual, because it's not an annual until the second year. If you'd like us to have our inaugural VFF film market at your venue, maybe CBS Studio Center, maybe Burbank Marriott, maybe who knows who. But if you would like us to come to you, then reach out to this lovely lady on that side of the screen for me.
Sounds good.
All right. In closing, is there anything else that you want to say about VFF? What are you looking most forward to at this year's festival?
This is going to sound so awful, but whenever I get to this point, I'm always looking. I'm already thinking about 2018. So right now, I'm looking to just make sure we kick it off with a bang. We're screening John Putch's film, The Father and the Bear. And then, I don't know, we just have such great content that I want everyone to come down and see as much of it as possible. Our documentaries are just awesome this year. We have a lot of foreign films. And those filmmakers are traveling from Morocco and Iran and France and England to be here. So please come out and support them.
Amazing. I can't wait to see it in the films myself, be a part of this year's festival. And I just do want to, I think it is time for us to finally close. I want to thank everyone that has been in the live chat. Once again, if you're watching a replay of this, I hope you're enjoying it, but do join us on Monday nights and be part of the conversation and ask us questions and, help keep the show alive or lively. It's all whatever. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. Please subscribe to the Valley Film Fest and go to valleyfilmfest.com. Again, if you're in the LA area, come join us next week for our 17th annual Valley Film Fest. And then, maybe consider volunteering and being a part of the team next year. So don't forget to thumbs up, like this video. And I don't know who the guest is next week. I actually might take a week off from doing this show because of the busyness with the festival. So I will, of course, be updating events as we go on. But once again, I do want to thank Tracey for being a part of the show. I want to thank you for being a part of the audience. And yeah, that is about it. So good night, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Aaron.